Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. And we just had Game 2 of the 2024 NBA Finals. Game 1 was not very close. The Celtics dominated for the most part. There was that one stretch in the third quarter where the Mavs made it kind of interesting. Luka was going insane. They brought it in single digits. But for a majority of the night, the Celtics were up by as much as 20. They went up by 29. They were hitting the Mavs with a barrage of threes. Kristaps was huge in his return. Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, everybody made some type of big play, and in the end, they win in dominant fashion and go up 1-0 on their home court. So for the Mavericks, this isn't necessarily a must-win in Game 2, but it's extremely important because you don't want to go down 0-2 to a team that's only lost 20 times combined in the regular season and the playoffs. So they had to make a statement early, and they kind of did. Specifically, Luka started to look like Michael Jordan out there. This man could not miss for the first quarter and some change. At one point, he had 20 points and was like 7 of 9 or 8 of 10 from the floor. He was getting downhill, attacking the basket, hitting step back threes. He was hitting middies, doing basically everything you could ask for him on that offensive end, playmaking for others. After Game 1, he really had no assists whatsoever. In this one, he goes out there and drops a triple-double, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. Luka was ridiculous, shot 57% from the floor, all around fantastic effort from Luka. But in the second half, he definitely cooled off a little bit, and that became a problem because not a lot of help for Luka on the night entirely. And we'll talk about the Mavericks and what went wrong for them tonight in a moment, but a lot of that is just the insanity of the Celtics defense, one of the best defensive units we've seen in a really long time, and that came from a variety of sources. Whether it was Jaylen Brown locking down against Luka a lot of that second half, it was Jayson Tatum, who definitely did not shoot well, but defensively continues to play really well on that end. Derrick White, who is an all-defensive level guy. Kristaps, when he did play, did get a little bit banged up towards the end of this game. We'll see if that impacts his status going forward. Joe Mazzulla said it didn't, but we'll have to wait and see for Game 3. And then, of course, there's Jrue Holiday, who to me was the best player clearly on the floor in this game for the Celtics and was the big reason why they won, because when you take a look at the box score, there are a lot of things that could indicate the Celtics don't win this game. One of the keys to beating the Celtics is finding them on those off nights, because when the Celtics are hitting those threes, it's almost impossible to stop them. But in this game, they really didn't shoot well at all, just 25.6% from three. Jayson Tatum was 6 of 22. A lot of people are talking about that rough performance from him. They had some rough turnovers, like 6 from Jaylen Brown, 3 from Tatum. They finished with 10 as a team. Those are things you need to take advantage of if you're the Mavericks. This felt like, on paper, a very winnable game, but the problem for the Mavericks is they just don't have the room for error that the Celtics do, because the Celtics, even if Jayson Tatum is struggling, they're turning the ball over a lot, they have so many guys that can just destroy you, and Jrue Holiday is one of those really underrated pieces on this team. He ended up with the Celtics after the Bucks traded him away to get Damian Lillard, who was an upgrade, and it made sense for the Bucks to trade for him. One of the big problems they faced with Jrue over the past 2 seasons before they traded him was some inconsistency on the offensive end once they got to the playoffs. The defense was always there, but there were a lot of games in series where he shot like 30%, 25%, 35% at most. Like, Jrue was wildly inconsistent, so they said, okay, we need somebody that can be that reliable second option next to Giannis, and so they brought in Dame off the best year of his career. It made a lot of sense as a trade. The irony is it gave the Boston Celtics a fantastic fit at that point guard spot. After they trade away Marcus Smart in the Kristaps Porzingis trade, there are a lot of questions about who would fill in that backcourt next to Derrick White, and boom, you get Jrue Holiday, who is the perfect fit for you, because while in Milwaukee he's being asked to be this second or third option a lot of nights, here in Boston he's your 4th or your 5th guy most nights. Like, he's definitely behind Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, and then a lot of nights he's behind Derrick White too. There are even some nights where he's behind Al Horford. It really just depends on what game's going on. And then in this one, you also have nights where, on the biggest stage, having this championship experience, being a guy who made big plays in those 2021 finals to get the Bucks over the top, he can step up when Tatum's struggling and the team as a whole isn't hitting their shots. Was their leading scorer, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 of those being offensive boards, 3 assists, a steal, and a block, shooting 79% from the floor, 11 of 14, and 2 of 4 from deep. And the buckets came in a variety of ways. He was knocking down his threes, he was continuously moving off the ball. It felt like every time somebody got stuck under the basket after penetrating the defense, which was not a problem at all tonight, by the way. The point of attack defense for the Mavericks was abysmal, continuously giving up bad switches, getting lost in rotations. They've got to be way better. Losing Jrue Holiday off ball, because it felt like he got so many buckets off of these cuts, finishing around the rim. Jrue Holiday was just in the right spot every single time, and that also includes on the defensive end, where he's one of the best guard defenders I've watched with my 2 eyes, regardless of the year he's played at, because he's getting into his 30s, and it feels like he's still so elite on that end. mind, whether he's guarding Luka Doncic or one of the bigger guys, or specifically Kyrie Irving, who was again really bad in this game. It has not been a finals to remember so far through the first 2 games. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and a lot of that has just been the pressure of Jrue Holiday. He makes everything so difficult, is their linchpin on that end. He's a great vocal leader for them, has been an amazing replacement for Marcus Smart. Gives them a lot of the same stuff that Smart did with that defensive hustle, that tenacity, but now gives you a bit more reliability and some consistency, especially on that offensive end, now that he's in that more limited role, rather than being like, again, the 2 or the 3 over in Milwaukee. Honestly, if the series ended today and I had a vote, I might give my Finals MVP pick to Jrue for what he's done defensively in both these games, the offensive explosion here. He's doing some special stuff, and once more, it speaks to how insane of a GM that Brad Stevens is, that he brought in Jrue Holiday, who is a champion, who is an all-star level player, just an insane acquisition, and he really did not have to give up that much. It was like Malcolm Brogdon and like a few firsts, sure, Robert Williams, but he was always injured, and they had just added Kristaps Porzingis, so they had the big to go ahead and replace him. Just masterful stuff from Brad Stevens. I've seen a lot of people say that Brad should get Finals MVP, and honestly, wouldn't even blame people if they made that decision because of what he's done for this team to revolutionize them. I've said it a lot of times, these are not the same Celtics, and Jrue Holiday is a massive part of that. The steadiness that he brings to the table, the decision making, just the presence to be another guy that can pop off for a lot of points, that can defend his butt off on a team of great defenders. He has really changed everything for the Celtics, and it's been really fun to watch. Also, I want to brag real quick. I called this Jrue Holiday game. I said in the final few moments of my brother and I's podcast episode before the finals, the 2-man game, you should go check that out. I'll put a link down below in the description, and I always put every episode on my community post, so look out for that as well. But I said that there was going to be a Jrue Holiday game. I said he was going to score right around 30 points. I think the specific number I said was right about 27. He got to 26. Give me credit for it. I called this. I'll put a clip here as well so you can go ahead and take a look. I think Jrue Holiday has one near 30 piece, and he wins a game for the Celtics in this series.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he scores like 20, like 7 or something like that, hits like 7 threes or something crazy like that. Like Jrue Holiday, I think, has a massive game that ends with him getting a big defensive play like he did in the finals back in 2021. And he is like the guy that wins them a game at some point in this series. But yeah, check out that podcast because apparently I'm just predicting the future on there. It's been really fun to watch him go out there and hoop. And honestly, I'd be all for a Jrue Holiday Finals MVP. I think that would be really fun. He's been a guy that probably should have had a Defensive Player of the Year by now, deserves more respect all throughout his career. It would be cool to see him get this huge accolade. Beyond Jrue Holiday, as I mentioned, Jayson Tatum, not a great game, 6 of 22 shooting. Did have 12 dimes, and I know a lot of people are saying, oh, if you're bringing up his playmaking, you know that's how bad he's been offensively. And yeah, the shot is absolutely not falling. He's just missing layups out there, but I do think his ability to attack downhill and get a couple of feet in the paint, kick out the shooters, get the defense rotating has been incredibly valuable. I've really liked his playmaking and his ability to still impact the game even with the shot not falling, so that's been a huge positive. Jaylen Brown, 21 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, 8 of 15 shooting, great defensively, was one of their better offensive players tonight next to Jrue. Derrick White had 4 threes. Kristaps, 4-7 from the field, was again kind of banged up in this game towards the end, so hopefully he's good to go for game 3. We'll see, but did look really good when he was playing out there. Peyton Pritchard, only 1 shot, but he hit a half-court 3 at the end of the third quarter, which was insane. And yeah, the Celtics up 2-0, once again showcasing their ability to win even when the 3-point shot isn't falling, through defense, through attacking downhill. The Mavericks just couldn't stop the penetration at all on the perimeter, and that was a big issue for them, in addition to just not a lot of offensive punch against this lockdown Celtics defense. Luka was amazing, but outside of him, once again, his co-star Kyrie Irving was bad. 16 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, couple of turnovers on below 40% shooting. Still has yet to hit a 3 in this series, and he kind of just looks rattled out there. He's not making the best decisions. He's forcing a lot of shots, even wide open shots he's missing. I know he's talked about the boos that the Celtics fans are giving him a couple of times, the Kyrie sucks chants, which felt louder in this game. I don't know if the mic was just turned up or that was true. Maybe someone in the arena can let me know, but they were definitely louder in this game after he said he weren't that loud, and once again, did not perform. If they want any chance of competing in this series, never mind winning it, Kyrie has to be way better. Maybe when he gets to Dallas, he will be better, but just over the past, I think it's 12 games, he's 0-12 against Boston, has performed badly. It just seems to be a matchup that he's not the most comfortable with. And it doesn't help that they're not getting great three-point shooting at all. It feels like the Mavericks shooters are kind of regressing to the mean. The Celtics were perfectly fine with letting some of the supporting guys shoot tonight. Like Derrick Jones Jr. had 1 3 that they just gave him all the time in the world on. They let him have it, and he airballed it. Maxi Kleba, 0-2 from 3. Derrick Jones was 0 for 3. 1-5 from PJ Washington, which hurts me as a Thunder fan to see him actually starting to miss threes. 0-3 from Josh Green. Like, the only guys that hit threes outside of Luka were PJ with 1, and then Dante Exum had 1. This team shot 6 of 26 from the outside in a game where the Celtics didn't shoot well, and that's something you have to take advantage of to beat them. They found a way to shoot even worse from the perimeter. A lot of that does go to the Celtics' defensive credit. They're forcing them out of the corners and more so to above the break threes. They're preventing lobs, which makes offense way harder. Like, the Celtics are doing a fantastic job, and the Mavericks are also just getting out of what worked for them. The shooters are not knocking down the shots they have all playoffs. It's been rough to watch. They so far have looked vastly outmatched. Not to mention, the free throw shooting continues to be a problem. 16 of 24 from the free throw line. They were getting completely lost on a lot of defensive rotations. The point of attack defense was abysmal. Luka, Kyrie were getting blown by continuously. The Mavericks were also just letting them have like any switch they wanted. They're not fighting that at all. Don't know why they did that after game 1 where KP was abusing that, and here in game 2, they let the same stuff happen. It just feels like Jason Kidd has to scheme better for game 3. They need Kyrie to bounce back. They need guys to hit shots. Maybe that's all too much to ask for the Mavericks to put together continuously to come back in the series. Maybe they could do it for a couple of games, but it feels really hard to do that continuously against just this stacked Celtics team. So we'll see what happens when they go back home. Role players typically do perform better at home than on the road, but the Mavericks, again, have just looked really outmatched so far. We'll see if that changes in Dallas, but for right now, those are my thoughts on this game. Let me know down below in the comments what your takeaways were. What do you think about what Jrue Holiday has done so far? Who would be your pick for Finals MVP if you had to pick somebody right now? Would it be like a Jaylen Brown? Would it be a Jrue Holiday, a Kristaps Porzingis after what he did in game 1? Maybe you really value the playmaking of Jayson Tatum and he's your pick. Maybe you would just give it to Luka, who has been the best player so far, even though he's on the losing team. Would love to hear what you have to say. But leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I appreciate you watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.